How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we're talking about Longmont, Loveland, and Fort Collins, three of Northern Colorado's best towns, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver metro area, or the Front Range of Colorado for that matter, then this is a channel for you. And that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person answering those phone calls, answering emails, answering those texts. There, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is a deep dive into Longmont, Loveland, and Fort Collins. So we start today's video roughly 37 miles north of Denver and about 16 miles east of Boulder in Longmont, Colorado. Founded in 1871 by a group called the Chicago Colorado Colony, Longmont was really that old west town as people started to move out here for the gold rush, silver rush, and you see that history within Longmont, its downtown area, and its museums. As of 2023, Longmont had a population of right at 100,000, so it's that perfect mix for a lot of people between a town with some size and some amenities and things to do, and yet not the big city that a Denver, an Aurora, even a Boulder might be. Now, Longmont is also extremely popular, obviously, for that location. I started with the town that was closest to Denver and closest to Boulder because a lot of people who live there want to be outside of those cities and certainly want to be outside of Denver, but they still want to be able to get to Denver within roughly an hour and the ability to get over to Boulder in about 30 minutes or less. Again, for some people that drive is going to be even quicker, is very important to them. Some of the more popular neighborhoods in Longmont will be Old Town and Quail Ridge. And I mean, my new favorite, as a lot of people told me I would find, is Prospect Newtown. So, and I have to talk for a moment about Prospect Newtown because it's such a cool, unique area that I've ever seen. So within all of these neighborhoods of Longmont, you pull into the Prospect Newtown area and it is filled with their own little courtyard and their own like little downtown stretch with shops and coffee shops, couple restaurants. And then you pull into these different roads and different avenues that are all custom built homes. Nothing looks the same in the coolest way. And some of it looks like almost old colonial style houses and then some new construction and new types of architecture. It just is ever changing. And it's one of the only communities that I've ever visited where, and you'll see it in the drone footage and some of the footage on the street, drone footage doesn't do it justice. There's so much tree coverage. For instance, that main road as you drive in that I spoke of with the courtyard and the shops, you can't see it from a drone. All you see is tree coverage. It actually drove me crazy as I flew my drone because I kept trying to find it and it was just covered up. It was camouflage. So of these neighborhoods, just some really great neighborhoods, and that was one that I was told I would love, and I did. Now, anybody who has watched my videos knows I am a big fan of towns that have a really cool downtown. All three of today's videos have that, and Longmont, obviously no exception, as is often the term used or the name given, Main Street, Longmont, shocker that a downtown would be called Main Street, but filled with restaurants and shops, coffee shops. Some of the best restaurants you're going to find realistically in all of Colorado. I love eating there. My wife as well. Anytime we're in Longmont, we love to eat at some of their restaurants. And that downtown area is just constantly busy, just enough, right? It's not packed, but just a lot of commerce, a lot of people moving around, a lot of enjoyment. And again, it gives you that substantial size enough for a town, but not overwhelming like maybe a major city would be. Some of the cooler things there in Longmont, they have an excellent farmer's market. Obviously there's a lot of farmer's markets in and around Colorado, but one of my favorite is there in Longmont. You've got Rhythm on the River, you get a little music, a little festival there. And then you've got the Art Walk Longmont, which draws a lot of people, a lot of different artists coming out, showing off their creations. So you get that community feel. Again, I think that perfect blend where the community is large enough to where everybody doesn't know everything about everybody, but at the same time, you're drawn together by these different community events. Outdoor activities, plenty to be had, plenty of trails, obviously close to the Rockies, a lot of different parks, and you have Union Reservoir right there in Longmont where you can get out for the day, get the boat out, get the kids out for a swim if you're into that sort of thing. So plenty to do in and around Longmont. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you have that proximity if you want to shoot down to Denver or some of the things and attractions in the city, or if you want to shoot over to Boulder. School systems in Longmont. St. Vrain is the school district for the area, highly rated overall, and plenty of private and charter school opportunities as well. And while a lot of people will travel outside of Longmont, including whether they're going up to Fort Collins, over to Boulder, down to Denver for work, there's a lot going on within the economy of Longmont as well. Some of their bigger employers are going to include Seagate Technologies, IBM, and Crocs. That's right. If you're a fan of Crocs, or you've ever made fun of somebody who wears Crocs, chances are Longmont might have had something to do with that footwear. I mean, we've all put them on. They're not popular because they're uncomfortable. As far as all arts and culture, you've got the Longmont Arts and Culture Center. You got the Firehouse Arts Complex. So some really cool areas to go and see, again, what these artists are doing, different exhibits that come into town, and an enjoyable experience overall. And as far as healthcare, Longmont is home to Longmont United Health, plenty of health facilities and access there. Again, from clients and friends alike, we get pretty good responses when I ask people about things, again, as far as schools, as far as outdoor activities, as far as healthcare, as far as just quality of life. Longmont gets a pretty good response on those things. Getting into some basic housing figures for you, as of the making of this video, the median list price for detached homes in Longmont set at $677,000. The median rent for a similar house sat at $2,700. Condo prices, the median price sat right around $442,000, and the median rent for a condo sat right around $1,850 a month. Heading a little farther up the road, roughly 46 miles from Denver, is Loveland, Colorado. And Loveland is also obviously a little farther north, closer to Fort Collins. So you're roughly 13 miles south of Fort Collins. So one of the nice perks of both of these first two communities is you're kind of right smack dab, not kind of, you are right smack dab in the middle. Fort Collins, Denver, Boulder, you've got a little bit of all of it. And Loveland certainly has a suburban feel to it. It's got a downtown just like the other two, but certainly a suburban feel to it. Founded in 1877 by William Loveland. After all, who wouldn't name a town after themselves? And as of 2023, Loveland had a population of about 80,000 people. So just a little bit smaller than Longmont, not by much, but a sizable community. So some popular neighborhoods in Loveland are going to include the Mariana Butte, the Lakes at Centera, and downtown Loveland. Certainly a lot going on in and around that area. Some great neighborhoods throughout Loveland. Tried to get many of them with some drone footage so you could see, but really cool neighborhoods that all have kind of their own style. Some of them, right on some golf courses. You've got some of them right on water. Got a few houses that I wouldn't mind buying myself if I had a few more, shekels. And Loveland's downtown area, again, really cool. You got your shops, your restaurants, your shopping centers, all of those things, and a lot of art. Loveland really popular for that. That's something I'll talk about as I go through this video. But you see it evidently right as you pull into their downtown area. A lot of murals, a lot of artwork on walls. Just really thought through in that community. Something that is very important to the community and from a historic standpoint. Among some of the coolest things to do in Loveland, you've got the Loveland Sweetheart Festival, you've got sculpture in the park, you've got the Cherry Pie Celebration, you've got the Cherry Pie Celebration. I mean, how do you possibly? And you've got the Cherry Pie Celebration. I mean, how do you possibly go wrong with a celebration about cherry pie? Outdoor amenities galore. You've got Boyd State Park, great again for boats, fishing, swimming, water skiing, you name it. You've got Devil's Backbone open space, great for hiking, trails, camping, a lot of activities going on there. But you know, again, I think in all of these communities, you're really going to get a feel for that. There's a lot of outdoor things to do, lots of trails, you know, reservoirs, lakes nearby, really driving people to get outside and enjoy the beautiful nature that Colorado offers. So the Thompson School District services the Loveland area. Again, overall highly rated schools in the area, still some private charter schools as well. Loveland High School and Thompson Valley High School, both in that community, both tend to get higher ratings when you look at things like betterschools.com, niche.com. The economy of Loveland, again, similar to Longmont, you've got folks that are traveling, whether it's Fort Collins, Boulder, or Denver, but within Loveland, plenty of community, plenty of economic opportunity. That includes major employers like Agilent Technologies, Hack, the McAfee Medical Center is there in Loveland, so plenty of opportunities in that area. And I already know somebody's going to watch this video and hear me say the first two names and go, that's not how you pronounce them, and that's okay because I have never worked for those companies. And I try. Like, English is my first language, but yeah, I digress. And again, mentioning art as far as Loveland, you have the Loveland Museum, you have the Benson Sculpture Garden, and when I talk about art being important to Loveland, it's painting, it's sculptures, it's architecture. There's a lot of different. If it's art and it's in Loveland, it's important to the community. They do a great job of it. It's evident, it's clear, it's part of their history, and definitely something that I think you'll feel and see as you arrive. And as far as healthcare, you've got the McKee Medical Center, you've got the UC Health Medical Center of the Rockies there in Loveland. So healthcare ratings and reviews are pretty high in that area. Housing figures, you're going to find that Loveland is a bit more reasonable than Loveland and a bit more reasonable than Fort Collins. So median detached home prices as of the making of this video sat at $625,000. Median rent for a similar house sat a little over $2,400. Flipping over to condos, the median list price of a condo was $470,000, and the median rent of a condo sat, again, a little over $1,700. And last but not least, you've got Fort Collins, Colorado, located 65 miles north of Denver, depending on traffic, anywhere from an hour and a half to maybe a 2-hour drive if you have significant traffic. I already hear people in the comments telling me no, an hour and a half is a good bet for that drive. Fort Collins was originally founded in 1864, right there on the Rocky Mountains. And you'll see as you get there, Fort Collins really has a great layout to it, very green, and it's a sizable city. I mean, it is sizable, whether you want to call it a town or a city, probably lean towards town, but really spread out. A lot of different neighborhoods. As of 2023, the population of Fort Collins sat a little over 175,000. That makes it one of the bigger towns in Colorado. Really past Denver, Colorado Springs, and Aurora, we don't have very many towns that are over 150, let alone 175,000. So sizable. Fort Collins has, in my opinion, one of the best downtowns you will ever see. Again, filled with people, tons of restaurants, coffee shops, huge for breweries. Fort Collins loves its breweries. They are everywhere. They've got some great restaurants to check out. And you just see a lot of people moving through it. Every time I visit Fort Collins, I am the horrible person that accidentally keeps pulling my car too far into an intersection so I block the walkway, because it's one of those walkways that's a little farther set back than your normal stop. And I just make people mad every time. So I apologize ahead of time, Fort Collins. It's my fault. And Fort Collins is also home to Colorado State University, good old CSU. So it certainly has some of that, college town feel to it. Colorado State being one of the biggest universities in the state of Colorado, one of its most popular. You'll see, its setting throughout the town. Also huge for veterinarians and for equestrian, just random among some of the more popular programs at CSU. They're actually nationally renowned for their veterinarian program. And just in case my notes don't have it, we got to talk about Horsetooth Reservoir right off the bat, because it's one of my absolute favorite places to check out when I'm in Fort Collins. Just a really great reservoir, boats out on it all the time. I mean, not year round, but obviously when it's warm out, people out water skiing, taking swims, fishing if they want to. And within the cove of Horsetooth Reservoir, really some of the coolest houses you're gonna see just along that view. Just a great picturesque scene. And again, with the Rocky Mountains right there. Popular neighborhoods in Fort Collins are going to include Old Town, Midtown, Harmony Corridor, and University Acres is also a very popular neighborhood in the Fort Collins area. Amenities, I mean, there's plenty to do in Fort Collins. Again, you've got the downtown area, all the things there. You've got Horsetooth Reservoir. You've got Poudre River. Some really cool things happening there. I mean, whether it's trails along the river, whether they've got a music festival that takes place there. So a lot to do there in Fort Collins. And it is also typically ranked, I should have said this earlier in the video, that Fort Collins is typically ranked one of the higher communities in the nation to live in, and its popularity continues to grow. I've reached the point in the video where I'm moving a lot, my chair's squeaking like crazy, so hopefully that's not distracting you from the wonderful depths of information I'm providing you. Some fun activities there in Fort Collins includes the New West Fest, the Tour de Fat, and the Fort Collins Foodie Walk. They've got a really great bike run for breweries that happens every year. There's just a lot going on within Fort Collins. One of the more active communities at finding ways to get people out and about doing things. Outdoor activities, I know I mentioned Horsetooth Reservoir, Laurie State Park, Poudre River. When you go to see Fort Collins, when you get to that area, you'll know. I think it's a very common feeling, I need to be outside here. It's definitely an outdoor town. There's plenty to do indoors, but you're gonna wanna get outside, I assure you. The Poudre School District takes care of Fort Collins and its educational systems. Again, like everywhere else in the nation, some private and charter school options as well. And again, for the higher education aspect, you have Colorado State University. Not that I'm sure everybody that grows up in Fort Collins is required to go to CSU by any means, but not a bad option to have in your backyard. The economy of Fort Collins, certainly a bit more established than that of Longmont and Loveland. Not to say that those two are slouches, but a little more self-sufficient, if you will. Companies that make their home in Fort Collins will include, obviously, Colorado State, a huge factor there. You've got Hewlett-Packard, and you also randomly again have Otterbox. So you've got one town that I've mentioned that provides a little, footwear for you, comfy, and another one that makes sure that your cell phone doesn't break despite the fact that you drop it 5 times a day. Art amenities there, you've got the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery, and you've got the Lincoln Center. And then as far as healthcare, you've got UC Health, Poudre Valley, and you've also got the banner Fort Collins Medical Center, so plenty of options as far as your healthcare. Getting down into our pricing, Fort Collins is probably gonna be on the higher end of this. So again, as of the making of this video, the median list price for a detached home in Fort Collins sat at $699,000. Rent for a similar property sat at $2,550. Condos listed at $422,500, and renting said condo sat just a shade under $1,900. Now just imagine, that is just 3 of Northern Colorado's absolute best towns. And next week, I've got one coming at you with 8 of them. Mind blowing. Until then, that's a perfect opportunity to give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, knowing that I'm always the person that answers those. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everts. That was Longmont, Loveland, and Fort Collins, 3 of Northern Colorado's best towns. Until I see you next time, peace.